When a writer falls asleep, she can have rather peculiar dreams. Margot dreamt of two sisters. They lived in a place called Perfecta. The people of Perfecta learned to create their world with their imagination. What they envisioned came into being. The sisters looked alike. But in truth, they were very different. One was a rising star. The other was nothing, if not a disappointment. The first sister's name was Camila. Her name literally meant perfect. She was flawless and faultless. Everything she brought into existence was well-formed and quite symmetrical. The creatures she gave life to were lovely. Camila always complied with the expected norms. Her sister, Mallory, however, was unlucky. She was unable to conform to the standards expected of her. No matter how she tried, she could never create a perfect creature. Everything she brought to life was misshapen, atypical, and genuinely odd. Camila was not without compassion for Mallory. She did her best to advise her sister. But even when the same enchantments were applied by Mallory, they produced something bizarrely malformed. Mallory persisted with her imperfect creations. But after a time, it was decided that Mallory's training had failed. She would never have her sister's talent. Queen Alicia of Perfecta was called upon to make a judgment. Queen Alicia had 3 advisors. They were known as the Council of Perfecta. They represented accomplishment, fulfillment, and transcendence. It was certainly a foregone conclusion that anyone incapable of perfection could not live in Perfecta. But the rule of law required a public trial. As she expected, Mallory was told to leave. She had never been outside the confines of her orderly city. The idea of traveling alone was terrifying. But Camila's parting spell gave her sister both curiosity and bravery. Her sister assured her, "These gifts will see you to the end of your quest." The first being she encountered was the Oracle of Existence, who lived at the edge of the city. Mallory asked her, "Where must I go?" "You should seek the Queen of Mysteries. She will guide you to your new home." Mallory wasn't able to get any further direction from the Oracle. Therefore she considered her advice enigmatic and meaningless. "If I don't know which way to go, how does your declaration help me?" The next being she found on her journey out of the city was the Waykeeper. Mallory was warned, "You can go out, but never in. When you leave, you are no longer a creator." Mallory responded, "It's fine by me. I've been cast out anyway. There will be no returning." The further away from Perfecta that Mallory traveled, the more color entered her world. She began to encounter creatures who were as curiously flawed as she was. She inquired, "Do you know where I can find the Queen of Mysteries?" But they only shook their head. Mallory wondered, did they not know of her? Or perhaps, they didn't understand anything she said? Every creature watched her pass with some degree of awe, and some were frightened of her. But she didn't know why. Finally, she met the Master of Ceremonies. She hoped he might be able to tell her something useful. "Master, do you know why some creatures are afraid of me?" He answered, "Perhaps they are only surprised to see their creator." Then Mallory understood that all the strange things she had made had been sent away to fend for themselves. Discarded imperfections like herself. She had feelings about this, which she could not express. It wasn't exactly guilt, and it wasn't a feeling of responsibility either. Although, that would have been admirable. No, what she felt was more akin to pity. They were reflections of herself, and she was just not good enough. Mallory traveled to the far reaches of existence. Much of her journey was desolate and empty, like her heart. She began to wonder if she would ever find her place. After crossing the wasteland, unexpectedly, two mystical mags appeared. The first granted her one wish, while the other mage threatened a possible mishap. She told them, "I wish to find the Queen of Mysteries." The first mage told her, "It will be granted." However, the other mage warned, "You must cross the boundary of divergence. If you don't have what is required, you won't be allowed to enter. What you seek is beyond that border. If you don't pass, you will never see the Queen, or solve your mystery." This was the ultimate test. If she could not cross, she would surely be lost. At the boundary of divergence, Mallory was found to be perfectly imperfect, which was the only requirement for entry. The boundary guards explained, "This is the land of impossible things. Broken, defective, disfigured beings live here in harmony." The Queen of Mysteries granted Mallory a visitation. The Queen acknowledged, "You have created many of the beings who live and thrive in my city." Mallory knew some of her creatures had found their way to this sanctuary, but she never expected the Queen to know of their origin. She felt embarrassed to admit her failure. "I always aimed for perfection, but I'm just not made for it. No matter how hard I tried, I always failed." "Oh no. Quite the contrary," the Queen told her. "You have created individuals who are like no other, each with their own unexpected beauty." The Queen of Mystery named her city Zilla, which meant Land of Shadows. "I was once like you," the Queen confessed. "I too was thrown out of Perfecta, because my creatures were dark and frightening. But honestly, if you meet them, they are gentle, kind souls. I gave them a home here, and welcomed your creations when they were lost as well. It's only fitting that you should live among them." Mallory was pleased to know she wasn't the only creator to make strange things. She was invited into the homes of many whom she met, as their honored guest. She made new friends, who like her, were flawed in some wonderful way. She lived in comfort with other beings who were unconditionally accepting of her imperfection. Zilla was a city with roads that sometimes led nowhere in particular. It was inexact, and completely strange. The stairways may not have a purpose, and they might take you out of your way for no good reason. None of the walls were straight, and windows were of all sizes. Many whimsical creatures were wandering around. She found remarkably interesting things as she learned her way around Zilla. The people were odd and eccentric, just as she was. It was a delightfully mysterious place, full of wonder, where Mallory lived joyfully to the end of her days. The end. These are weird dreams. Just a bit of fun. If you want a real story, find Margot Connor on Patreon.